I'd like to change pace a little because there's another subject I'd like to discuss. You're also very knowledgeable about Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency, and this ties into the other things we've been discussing as well. In fact, I think we have a slide showing some actual Bitcoins. Can we see that? And there are some actual Bitcoins. And of course, these are not really actual Bitcoins because there is no such thing as a physical Bitcoin. A Bitcoin is just a bunch of bits in a computer.
Exactly, yeah. Bitcoin is an amazing technology invented in 2008 by somebody who used the name Satoshi Nakamoto, though it's a pseudonym and nobody knows who actually invented it. And it's having quite an impact both as a currency of a sort, but more intellectually, it's opening people's ideas up to how the future economy might be very different than the current economy.
Well, it's an interesting concept with money because money is usually thought of as something you can touch. In fact, we have another slide showing different types of money that have been used throughout the ages. So people have used cows for money, they've used seashells, they've used little pieces of paper with pictures on them, they've used gold discs, that's probably the most durable source of money. But here's a source of money which is backed up by nothing and which only exists as magnetic bits. And its only value is in the fact that people agree that they are going to regard it as being worth something.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is that all forms of money are like that. Like people think gold is somehow intrinsically valuable. We were talking a little earlier, there's actually a quadrillion tons of gold at the center of the earth. And yet somehow, because that's not accessible, the very rare gold that's on the surface of the earth somehow has very great value to us. And so the whole notion of what it means to carry value, in some sense, what money really is it's a contract that allows somebody to transfer value to somebody else over space and over time.
Something that everybody will recognize has value to them, a universal medium of exchange.
Exactly.
So now how does Bitcoin work with that? I mean, how do you get Bitcoins?
Well, so there's a complex cryptographic technology that underlies it. The key underneath Bitcoin is something called the blockchain. What this is it's a big ledger that's decentralized. It's copied all over the world by these entities called Bitcoin miners. And whenever there's a transaction, like I send some Bitcoin from me to you, that gets recorded on the blockchain. And there's this process by which that recording happens so that everybody in the world agrees, even though they don't know one another and they don't trust one another. That's the reason I'm so interested in this technology, because it enables entities which don't necessarily trust one another to interact, to make agreements, and to really work together. And that's, I think, what we need for the AI systems of the future.
And copies of this blockchain exist in many different places and they're all identical to each other?
Yes. The way it works is there are these Bitcoin miners that solve these computationally expensive puzzles in order to have the right to add the next block onto the blockchain. The reason they do it is that they get paid. They get paid in Bitcoin.
Do you have to solve these problems yourself or just allow your computer resources to be used for somebody else to run a program on it?
You allow your computer to do it, and though the hardness of the problems, it gets harder and harder so that a block is added to the blockchain about every 10 minutes. That's the sort of way it's designed. And it used to be that you could do this Bitcoin mining on your laptop and make a lot of money. Then people started building faster and faster machines. Today, most of the miners are these special purpose hardware, and a lot of them are in China, interestingly enough.
Now here it takes a huge amount of electricity.
Yeah.
And that's expensive too.
$600 million of electricity right now.
Now some people are actually speculating in Bitcoins. They're buying and selling Bitcoins the way you buy and sell stocks in the hope that'll go up. In fact, we have one more slide which shows the graph of how Bitcoin has, so there's the slide, and it shows that for a long time, which it might be hard to read the numbers there, but it looks like it started around 2009. It was worth next to zero, and then it went up to about $100 or $200, fell back, reached a high of over $1,000 for one Bitcoin, and now it's slipped back to somewhere in the 200s, I think.
Yeah.
But does this reflect on the validity of Bitcoin, the fact that this is so volatile, or is this a sideshow to the real importance of Bitcoin?
It's a sideshow, though it really does sort of show the nature of financial markets. When I first heard about Bitcoin, pretty soon after it was announced, and I was thinking, probably around 2009, 2010, maybe I should buy some of this stuff. Well, I recently looked. If I had bought $10,000 worth then, today it would have been worth $180 million. Wow. So kind of regretful that I didn't buy it, but some people did, and there were these Bitcoin millionaires. So other people hear about this and they say, well, I want to get in on that. And then people start buying it not because of its intrinsic value or because they want to use it, but because they think somebody else will buy it for more later. And that's the resources, that's what you need to get a bubble. So we had pretty clearly a financial bubble there.
Yeah. And then it eventually crashed. So the thing is, you have to know when to sell.
If you're trying to speculate, you know, in some sense, that's a sideshow to the true technology, which enables people who don't know one another and don't trust one another to interact. That's where the real power is.
So the underlying technology of Bitcoin is not just money. It's a technology that enables you to verify all kinds of things.
Yes. And there's some new kind of Bitcoin 2.0 projects. Probably the most advanced is called Ethereum, which use a similar underlying technology to enable any kind of a contract to be put on the blockchain, something they call smart contracts. And once that launches in the next month or so, we should expect to see a whole range of societal functions moving into this kind of decentralized technology.
Is there any possibility that the whole internet could suddenly collapse and wipe out all of these coins? Like if somebody had an electromagnetic surge or something that caused a huge... In other words, we're getting a little too dependent, putting too many of our eggs in one basket by being totally reliant.
Well, I mean, the internet right now is a pretty shaky foundation. I mean, we just every week we hear about more security holes and systems being broken and so on. And so I think our current internet infrastructure needs to be upgraded to higher security. I think the Bitcoin technology, so far the basic underlying technology has not failed. There have been some big failures at the ends, the people who are holding Bitcoins for other people in what are called wallets. Some of those have been broken into and there have been some great heartache. But
I'd love to continue this conversation, but I've gotten the signal we're out of time, so we are going to have to wrap. I've been speaking with Steve Omohundro, who has worn many hats, expert on robotics and artificial intelligence and drones and Bitcoin. Steve, thanks for coming. Always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for watching. Visit our website, www.futuretalk.net. For Future Talk, I'm Marty Wasserman. We'll see you next time.